So you've been in prison, solitary confinement for a couple months. And one day you wake up, apparently you've been drugged. And you're strapped to a chair in a dark room, no light. This is after the deprivation of solitary confinement where you were fed well, but you're just in a room with a fluorescent light that's always on and a toilet, and that's it. And so you're strapped to this chair, and after a day or so you realize you've been drugged, but you're coming to your senses and you hear running water. It's like a fish tank. And you assume the worst. This is some kind of torture, but so you're sitting there for a couple days without food, strapped to this chair, and then suddenly a light goes on and you see the running water. It's a fish tank, and in the fish tank is a box jellyfish, a irukandji jellyfish. They're poisonous, as you would say. Their nematocysts they're like tiny stingers that shoot into your body and shoot venom into your body. And it's the most painful death. So there you are. You're strapped to that chair. Now you know your fate. And you are Dick Cheney.
No, I'm a tortilla.
I'm a tortilla, baby. I got cheese.
I got beans.
I got the little bit of meat and
Sour cream.
This is the Doomed Planet podcast, episode 16, Seattle Pandemic, Lockdown. And I don't know what the fuck that means, lockdown, but wise people are staying in their homes. I went to Seward Park yesterday, and again, today is Monday, March 30th, 2020. Yesterday, the place was packed. You can, the park is going to be crowded when you head down Seward Park Avenue, and then you see lots of people parking in front of the houses of the very wealthy in that cluster down there, and packed with people. It was really, what the hell are people thinking? I know Pramila Jayapal was urging people to do social distancing days ago, a week ago. And you know what I hate is the joggers. It's like a 6-foot-tall white guy, or him and his buddies in a viral cluster, and they're going, and they're jogging and blowing right past you and leaving their particulate matter, their vapors. Okay, Doomed Planet fans, I promise you, this is our last Seattle Pandemic episode. It's the third of 3. We'll be getting back to the true Seattle crime and stuff. Starting with episode 17 will be Potlatch Aboriginal Excess. We'll be taking a look at the Kwakiutl Indians of British Columbia and what is now Canada. And then after that, episode 18 will be Seattle's racist Golden Potlatch. It was a festival they had for a couple years running, 100 or so years ago. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, it's been an incredible week. The Doom Planet podcast is advocating for a billionaire tax. Just so you know where we're at. 90% annual tax on all assets above $1 billion. And we want that to start on June 1st for Bezos and Buffett and Gates and so forth. I'm not sure how enthusiastic they're going to be about that. This will postpone the revolution, and it might temporarily stop the barbarism and fascism that might come to us if we don't do otherwise. Paul Constant on Twitter Rusty, the media watchdog. Shout out to Twitter and a group of people in Seattle that support each other there. Paul says, coronavirus has proven that we can't count on billionaires to save us. They spend hundreds of millions on rocket ships and giant clocks, and they drop pocket change on us when we beg for it. You're seeing a lot of the ultra wealthy come out with these donations of chump change to help the coronavirus crisis. David Geffen this week infamously sent an Instagram post from his yacht about how safe he was feeling, and that got some pushback. It's unbelievable. Really, you think someone that rich is also brilliant and just mindful and would not do something so incredibly stupid. And the shot of the boat at sunset looks like it was taken from either a drone or a helicopter. Instacart is going on strike today. If you don't know what Instacart is, it's part of our delivery boy gig economy where people, the drivers the customers, for starters, order food from supermarkets. And the drivers accept batches. So you have this app on your phone, and it does take over your phone because you can't work Instacart unless you turn all the alerts and everything on. And the app will offer batches, and a batch is basically they give you a certain amount of money they will pay you, and then an estimated tip. And for that amount of money, if you accept the offer, they will direct you to a supermarket and give you a list of things to buy, and then send you to deliver it. And so basically it's just an algorithm, and it's a handful of dicks sitting in an office exploiting millions of impoverished workers. And you have to be desperate to do Instacart. I'll be honest, until recently I was working at a restaurant during the day, doing prep and stuff. And the boss at one point, he let the restaurant go to shit. And as part of that process, he started just ordering from Instacart. So cash and carry loads every day. An Instacart person would come by. It was never the same person twice, ever, never. It's like, this is a very temporary job that people realize they hate. You have to use your own car and your own insurance. The benefits are non-existent. And today is a strike, so we'll see what happens with that.
Tortillas, oh yeah.
Instacart workers need sick pay. They need hazard pay because they're delivering during a crisis and exposing themselves to a deadly virus. About a week ago, they're offering $24.15 to go to the supermarket, and then a lot of these batches, it's not just one delivery. They put on 2 or 3, which it's in the name of efficiency, but also Instacart making more money from each transaction. So it's incredible. You know what I hate is Costco. I wouldn't be caught dead shopping at Costco, but that in Seattle at least, that's a great deal of the Instacart traffic. And I know because I signed up for Instacart, I think a year ago, wanting to do a story about them. And I have never driven a single batch because I said, well, if I can't make minimum wage from one of these, even one of these, I just won't do one. And I never did. But I have the app reinstalled, and so I'm seeing what's going on in the Instacart universe in Seattle, at least. Here's one, $15.43, $11.59 Instacart payment, and $3.84 tip. Use your own car for that. A lot of these, I feel for people that are desperate. In fact, some right-wing dicks on social media were listing Instacart in a, lost your job? Here's something you can do. And like, Instacart, Amazon warehouse. Really? Again, It's hard to fathom that you're getting Seattle minimum wage if you work Instacart. That will change. You deliver liquor and stuff for them. You have to scan their ID. Instacart sent out a message to their drivers. Please do your best to avoid contact. What the? You can ask the recipient to show you the front and back of their ID and hold it for you to scan from a distance. So that's 6-foot rule. You have this little device, or you're scanning from your Instacart app this person's ID. Really? From 6 feet away? It's insane. I mean, that right there should be part of the class action lawsuit. The driver's file. I think there's many already in the pipeline. Seattle minimum wage for corporations with 501 or more employees, like Starbucks or Amazon or something. If they don't pay for medical benefits, that minimum wage is $16.39 an hour. And here's an Instacart batch. They're going to pay you $20.85. That's $15.97 Instacart payment and an estimated $4.88 tip. It's going to take you about an hour. You're using your own vehicle. When all is said and done, that's not going to be $16.39 per hour. And these people, I mean, this is essential now. If you're homebound or have some kind of illness and you can't get to the supermarket, this would be a good service if the drivers were paid decently. And by paid decently, I mean given equity in the company. These low wages, few benefits. Instacart should be nationalized. People are saying Amazon should be nationalized too, now that they're profiting in a big way from this horrible pandemic. And a great news item, Bezos sold a few billion worth of Amazon stock right before the crisis hit the mainstream. Also in the headlines here, the Virginia General Assembly voted last month to set the state on a path to a $15 minimum wage by 2026. Coronavirus is spreading in the villages. This is kind of a group of towns in Florida for retirees. And it's sort of a right-wing asshole place with strong Trump support. And people literally drive around in golf carts. Woody Allen's book has come out. And this is kind of like John Waters, except John Waters is not a rapist that I know of. Career-wise, Woody's first couple of movies are super funny and brilliant. And then he just goes downhill from there. It's like the more money he gets, the worse the product becomes. And he is still alive as of this recording. Restaurants are going out of business. I don't see many or most of them ever coming back, at least in the same form. And what, are you going to get a small business loan right now so you can, pay the mortgage or pay the rent on your place that is not open and not doing any business? It's nuts. And David Geffen, sunset last night, isolated in the Grenadines, avoiding the virus. I'm hoping everybody is staying safe. It's a beautiful yacht. And he took that down. It's been a busy week. Yeah, Instacart. I can't stress that enough. I'm going to release this podcast in a couple hours. Maybe someone that works for Instacart will hear this and say, oh, okay, so yeah, I'm in this category of desperate people. Maybe I'm a recent immigrant and my cousin turned me on to this. He's letting me borrow his car. There's a few of them look pretty. There's some strung out people delivering Instacart. I've got to say, we're all human, but that just shows that it kind of attracts the desperate. So a couple meth people, I can tell a heroin addict a mile away because I live in Seattle. Apurva Mehta is the CEO of Instacart. Now, this dick, it's pretty funny. If you read his bio, he worked at Amazon. So he's got that dick corporate culture down that he absorbed from suffering and toiling and being unhappy at Amazon. And so this guy, Apurva, he had several startups. I think it's like he had 5 failed startups. There's no details. Well, you never hear, what were the startups? I don't know if I want to look into that or not, but I mean, a startup could just be a sheet of paper with an idea on it. I got a feeling about this guy. Seattle Met magazine sent its 8 editorial staff to part-time on Tuesday, said publisher Nicole Vogel. Her company, Saga City Media, is in trouble because they do print magazines. They survived the internet. They had some gay tourism magazines, and also they do some cruise ship stuff, but I can't see this company continuing. And it's funny because I had a job interview there a long time ago, and it was the worst job interview of my life, and there have been many. And just long story short, one of the guys, there's 3 people interviewing me for this lowly position, which is odd. And at one point during this interview, this guy whipped out his phone where he had looked up something to contradict something that I had said and prove that I was wrong, and he shoved the phone in my face. So good riddance. Sound Publishing. This is owned by a dick Canadian guy. Publishes horrible weeklies. They're really shutting up most of their print editions. They killed the Seattle Weekly after buying it, and it still might be online. There's no smog in LA. It's one of the, I know we're going to move on with this podcast in the pandemic obsession, but think of all the good things. Think about people realizing, you mean I don't have to pay a fortune to go to college, pay for housing and all that stuff because I can just do it online and I can probably do it for free? And you mean I don't have to drive my gas-guzzling, fossil fuel-burning nightmare vehicle to and from work every day? I can just work from home? And by doing that, the air is clean, even in freaking LA? The Clintons sent over 400 pizzas to New York hospital staff treating coronavirus. That's nice. As you know, our friend Jeff Bezos has the 3 pizza rule. He would frown upon the Clintons for doing this. The rule is if you're having a meeting and you need more than 3 pizzas, there's too many people at the meeting. Lyft directs drivers to pursue Amazon positions. So Lyft, that's like going from the gutter to the sewer, or the worst possible job you can have. Amazon raised prices during the pandemic. As you can tell, I'm scrolling through my Twitter. I mean, give me a break here. It's 6 a.m. My better half is actually going to take over the recording studio soon because she actually still has a job and will be working from home today, as she has been for at least 3 weeks. Her company was one of the first to just cut people loose and work from home, which with what she does, that works. Jeff Bezos decided not to buy Paul Allen's $100 million parcel in Malibu. Jeff Bezos is backing an anti-aging biotech firm, and because he wants to live forever. And again, Jeff, we want a 90% annual tax on any assets you have that are over $1 billion. It's the doomed planet billionaire tax. Joe Biden is still running for president, as is Bernie Sanders. We'll see. Joe said, there's no need for more debates. So crazy. People are getting coronavirus in the Amazon infrastructure. An employee in Kent, Washington, tested positive. We heard that yesterday. I mentioned on Twitter, the Kent Amazon warehouse is located in a city adjacent to Seattle so that Amazon can avoid Seattle's labor laws. And that is partially true, although to give the dicks at Amazon credit, Kent is sort of a warehouse district and land is cheaper there. It used to be some of the most fertile farmland in the region, and now it's, paved over. But again, maybe this pandemic will change that. Maybe we start turning abandoned buildings into parks, okay? Oh, and one other thought that was in the back of my head, let's eliminate plastic. Plastic should be for medical or industrial uses only. Let's eliminate consumer plastic. It's insane. Robert Reich, our favorite economist, says Amazon, one of the richest corporations in the world, which paid almost no taxes last year, is offering unpaid time off for workers who are sick and just 2 weeks paid leave for workers who test positive for the virus. Meanwhile, it demands its employees put in mandatory overtime. If you think sitting at home typing meaningless ones and zeros into your computer programming for Amazon, you think that's a nightmare? Imagine working overtime at an Amazon warehouse. Like if you worked 40 hours at an Amazon fulfillment center as an associate, you're destroying your body, and it's literally, you're going to go home and go right to sleep and then wake up and go to work again. It's a physically demanding job, and you're in a giant, loud, ugly warehouse filled with robots. And maybe some dick manager looking over you, but the dick manager really is an algorithm that's, quite frankly, they're scanning you biometrically. They're looking at everything. They're looking at everything you do, every step you take, everything. Probably some old-fashioned CCTV surveillance cameras in there, too. Jacobin Magazine is suggesting that Amazon be nationalized. All right, what a fucking half-assed episode of the Doom Planet podcast. I promise you, fans, our 2 potlatch episodes, I'm actually going to write scripts for those. I'm not just going to sit and read Twitter, although Twitter this week has been fascinating. One thing that's amazing is that the people in power are so tone deaf, even in this time of a pandemic. The Bezoses and the Geffins, they just don't get it. You'd think they'd be clamoring to do the Doom Planet 90% annual wealth tax, because the alternative, might not be good for them.
Podcast shout out. Podcast shout out.
Chapo Trap House, Citations Needed, Deconstructed with Mehdi Hassan, Democracy Now!, Intercepted, Jacobin Radio, Ralph Nader Radio Hour, Rumble with Michael Moore, The Jimmy Dore Show, and Seattle Sucks. So you've been in prison. It might be in the Swiss Alps. You can see mountains and fresh-faced German people with close cropped hair leading dairy cows around, and you're the only one in this prison and treated like a king. The food, especially foie gras, lots of lentils and legumes for some reason, but just steak every night. It's really good. So this goes on for about 6 months, and then one day you wake up and you're in solitary confinement. You have gout. Gout is probably the most painful thing you can suffer from other than cancer. It really feels like there's a billion microscopic Hitlers that have sharp, red-hot needles flowing through your skin and poking you. And so anyway, after this prison experience, suddenly you're in solitary again. There's suddenly no noise, no fresh-faced Germans with their cows, and just a fluorescent light. And then you wake up again and you're strapped to a chair, but your leg or your toe and your ankle that is suffering from the gout is propped up on something, but it's dark and you can't see. after a couple days of that, you'll be really uncomfortable. And then the lights go on, and you see that your leg is propped up in a sling, but it's attached to this exercise machine. This is one of those vintage 1950s. It's like a jiggler machine. It's this engine with this strap attached to it, and you turn it on, and and it shakes your belly, and that's supposed to burn off the fat. And then you realize, oh no, don't turn that on. Please don't turn it on. No, what? No. This is almost worse than the box jellyfish treatment. And then you realize you're live on the internet because there's a screen. You can see views, 1 million views, 10 million views, 100 million views. And you can see that it's being broadcast live. And then someone comes in and flips the switch and turns on the machine. And you are no longer the president of the United States. This has been the Doomed Planet podcast, episode 16, Seattle Pandemic, Lockdown, whatever the fuck that means. Be safe out there, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.
Goodbye, this is the end of the song.